It's 2 p.m. Eastern Time, and I think we're going to start. I'm going to give some introductory remarks and get rolling. For everyone who is on this call, thank you very much for sharing your time. I'm Tony Massia with HonorVet Technologies, and my partner on this call is Robbie Gulri, the Chief Marketing Officer for Engage Talent.
Thank you, Tony.
You're welcome, Robbie. The purpose of this brief webinar is talking about something with all the hoopla about a million things in social media. Something that's clearly gone under the radar is an underemployment issue with veterans. And we will discuss that during the presentation. Facts, again, under the radar, prescriptive action that a number of employers are taking, but the vast majority do not. One housekeeping thing before we proceed is Robbie and I have designed this at a particular pace where it flows fairly smoothly, fairly quickly, and questions and discussion can be done at the end, and there will be plenty of time for everyone. With that, Robbie, let's go right ahead. Okay, as I shared with you, anything that you might see from governmental statistics, they don't tell the complete story on veterans in the workforce. General employment figures from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, Department of Labor, are just frankly deceiving. April 2008, the veteran unemployment rate was 0.2% lower than the general population. General population was 3.9% unemployment. For veterans, 3.7%. If you stop there, that seems pretty good. There was an extensive study over a couple of years that Syracuse University did, which really spells out the true issue with veterans in the workforce. Based on their study, proactive sampling, and also submitting mass questionnaires to Fortune 1000 companies and above, 43% of veterans leave their first civilian job within the first 12 months of being hired. It makes it even worse. Before the first 24 months, 4 out of every 5 veterans, 80%, leave their jobs before the end of the second year. And again, whether it's the Bureau of Labor Statistics, whether it's the Department of Labor, any other statistics that they normally say on the business news, it's focusing on the employment rate, not on underemployment, and certainly not on what we call best fit employment, that employment that best suits the skill sets of veterans returning to the civilian workforce. This particular statistic here is from one of a series of studies from Korn Ferry. That's K-O-R-N-F-E-R-R-Y, an international human resources consulting and management consulting firm. They found through a multi-year studies that nearly 7 in 10 corporate hiring managers have no specialized veteran onboarding for new employees or transition support for veterans or any veteran-specific training or hiring practices. The first result of veterans finding frustration in approaching civilian workforce is they go to the Department of Veteran Affairs. The Department of Veteran Affairs is helpful, but they're limited in their help. Their first matter of recourse is to forward these individual veterans to respective law enforcement and firefighting agencies. And similar to the rest of the general population, veterans don't always make great policemen nor firefighters. but we call them soft landing roles because at a very surface level, that is deemed to be a soft landing spot for someone's first position out of the military and in the civilian workforce. Doesn't always work. Another Korn Ferry study, it measured veterans in aspects of mental agility, people agility, and change agility. Mental agility is exactly what you think. Be able to think on your feet and not only think quickly, but act effectively on what you've thought. People agility, it's simple interpersonal skills, team building skills, and contributing positively to the team. Change agility is how quickly and how deeply you adapt to new and different environments, different processes, different sets of rules and procedures. Veterans certainly score extremely well on both the mental agility and the people agility measurements that Korn Ferry conducted in their studies. But in terms of change agility, they lag behind the general population, the civilian workforce. And this is in the Korn Ferry study, and frankly, I've heard it myself. I don't want to sound dramatic. I'll let the comment speak for itself on the slide. Heard comments from otherwise well-meaning or maybe not so well-meaning human resource executives, quote unquote, all they can do is fight. I think we all know better than that, but unfortunately it is a misperception, a misconception out there that needs to be reduced, if not eradicated. And basically, we've talked about the issue. What prescriptive actions can employers take? Basically, the next 3 slides are going to focus on just general concepts. So I will share with you there are a number of employers that are doing these things and more already. I will give you the names of some of those employers, and if you want to look at a larger list yourselves, I would submit you going to militarywvets.com. That's militarywvets.com. They have a list of best employers for military veterans, and it's updated every year. The companies I'm going to mention have been on the list for the last several years consecutively. Walmart is on there, and this is not just the greeter position, that's all throughout the company. First Data Corporation, one of the largest financial transaction processing firms in the United States. Merck, the giant pharmaceutical company. Hilton, that's Hilton Hotels, Hilton Resorts, Hilton Vacations, that family. DXC Technology, it's one of the 10 largest system integration high-tech consulting firms in the country. They used to be known as CSC, but they merged with the consulting division of Hewlett-Packard. And also Hormel Foods. Hormel Foods spends fully 1/3 of their budget on hiring, training, developing veterans for the workforce. Once hired, and again, these companies I mentioned are already following that, veterans, in terms of the lower change agility, make them feel welcomed into the firm and helping them winding their way through that different set of processes that an organization may exist that is different than what's in the military, and do that as quickly as possible so they can readapt to the corporate culture on a very deep level. Something that's worked not only for some of the companies I've mentioned, but also others on that militarywvets.com top 100 list, is there is a mentoring program. And that could be anywhere from rank and file employees to management employees, junior, mid-level, senior management, and even boardroom level employees where appropriate, excuse me, where they can mentor and act as role models for veterans. We found it particularly effective for those companies having a very deep, wide, and broad mentorship program. In the military, there are often situations where actually having a visual as to how to perform their task or tasks works wonderfully. So the same thing is proven to be effective in the civilian workforce. And the point of HonorVet Technologies and Engaged Talent Mentoring, what are we doing, or what are we attempting to do and already doing to help reduce this problem and fix it? So we, in that slide, that's HonorVet. We've partnered with Engaged Talent. It's artificial intelligence powered software, and they specialize in this, and germane to our discussion today, it fixes the misalignment problem of employees and employers. And Robbie, I'm going to have you speak to that in a minute, but just a 30,000-foot level view is the hardest thing to recruit for talent, whether you're a professional recruiter, whether you work for the talent acquisition and human resources area of a Fortune 1000 company. The most time-intensive, labor-intensive subject of those tasks is upfront. The initial sourcing and the initial identification of potentially best fit talent. Using Engage, we here at HonorVet have found it's a powerful tool to greatly speed the time to do that before we actually engage each individual potential candidate, and also produces a higher degree of accuracy than simply using job boards, whether it's Monster, whether it's Career Builder, whether it's Dice, whether it's Indeed. Robbie, did you want to get a little more into that?
Yeah, absolutely. Tony, thank you. I don't think I could do as good of a job as you've done. I really appreciate the introduction. Just quickly to introduce myself, I am Robbie Gulry. I'm the head of marketing here with Engaged Talent. And I just want to take a couple of minutes to give you a little bit of an overview of what it is that we do and you know how we sort of accomplish our tasks. But before I do that, I just want to say that we are honored to, and no pun intended there, to work with HonorVet. This is an issue for me personally near and dear to my heart. Early on, a little quick story. Early on in my career, I was mentored a lot from very prominent leaders in the Atlanta area, all with military experience. As I sort of evolved in my career and kind of moved from engineering to more marketing oriented roles, I could never really understand why a lot of those operationally oriented military individuals didn't transition into more, senior leadership roles within the organizations that I was either working in or selling into, frankly. So when I learned about HonorVet and their goals and missions, I was just excited, and even now more excited to have an opportunity to work with Tony and his team. So I'm going to quickly give you a bit of a pitch. It's really simple. At the end of the day, we're really proud of being the world's first AI-powered platform to combine talent mapping, competitive intelligence, passive candidate sourcing, and outbound recruiting in one sort of engine. So what does all that mean? A lot of fancy words. Simply put, our goal is pretty lofty, but I think it's pretty doable. We really want to fix the misalignment issue that exists and has existed for a long time with employers and their employees. Underemployment and disengagement and inefficiency is a huge problem, regardless of what industry you look at. Healthcare, financial services, tech, it doesn't matter. Anybody I run into, and I'm sure you have a lot of these in your lives, where people are in positions that just aren't fulfilled. They're not in productive situations. There's hundreds of people that I'm connected to on LinkedIn, and they reach out to me all the time, and they ask me, why is it that I'm able to produce at a level that they feel like they need to be able to produce? And my simple answer is, I feel like I'm aligned with the role that I'm in and the company that I work for. So these aren't bad people. They aren't in situations necessarily with bad companies. So what we're trying to do is fix this problem by utilizing data. And when I say data, I mean lots of data. We look at key data attributes from over 100 million candidates across any industry, like I mentioned earlier. We align that with the latest events and business shocks associated, with the business they work for. To give you an example, I'm in marketing and sort of product. If I've got a new CMO and I'm the director of digital marketing at a particular company, I may be a little nervous. I don't know if that new CMO is bringing in his or her own team or not. So these are some of the elements and attributes that we capture both at the candidate level as well as at the business level and at the industry level. And we're able to identify the right people for organizations to really target, the individuals that have the higher propensity to actually engage, hence our name, Engage Talent. So by using AI in what I call sort of muscle and math, we're able to find relationships and correlations and, frankly, insights that I can use to really try to target the right individuals at the right time with the right message. And that's sort of what you will find on our website at engagetalent.com. So again, quickly just flipping slides here. Nothing more to
Robbie, before you go off on the next one, go back to the slide you were just on.
Sure.
And thank you for that, helping people understand the power of using Engage's flavor of artificial intelligence. Those numbers are from Gallup studies. And what Robbie was alluding to, putting some numbers to his very effective narrative. Almost 7 out of 10 employees are pretty much checked out at their place of employment. I guess they're there because there's lack of quality on daytime TV. And to the right, 2 out of every 5 United States employers, and again, this is from Gallup, believe that there's actually a shortage of talent. So this goes even beyond the veteran underemployment, which is the primary reason we're talking about, but it's global. And that middle figure, 550 billion with a B, lost to being non-productive within the workforce in the United States. And for those clever enough to see the fine print, that is a 4.5-year-old study from Gallup, that middle chart. But if there's anybody on this call who thinks that number's actually gone down, that there's less unproductivity in the last 4.5 years, send us a message there on that screen on the right. Otherwise, you know that number has only gone up.
Yeah.
Okay, Robbie.
That's absolutely a great point, Tony. The number definitely, from where we stand and what we look at and all the data we analyze on a day-to-day basis, shows that number with a trajectory of much higher than it was back in 2013. But having said that, again, with our software and our ability to leverage data, we really want to make sure that we're taking these heroes that are returning back home and placing them in much more productive and aligned and more fit-oriented positions. And so Engage and HonorVet together, I think we're excited to work with each other, and I think there's an opportunity to really bring a lot of value to the market. And with that, Tony, I really don't have much. There's a number of questions that have come about as you and I have been talking over the last 20 minutes.
Okay, sure. You can read them off, and we'll address them if we can here. Otherwise, I'll provide you contact information where we can talk directly about it after this call. Yeah.
So I think the first question, Tony, is sort of targeted to you, and the question is are you HonorVet? Are you guys a staffing company, a consulting company? Can you maybe spend a couple of minutes and just to describe what you guys do?
Sure. We do executive search, traditional staffing, whether it's for permanent, contract to perm, or contract positions. We do consulting and project work. The staffing, we don't care about the industry, about the position. We start out as a tech consulting firm and a tech staffing firm, but have grown beyond that to do consulting, to provide employers talent in light administration, warehouse work, boardroom level people. We do not discriminate. The processes we use, and as you already figured out from this call, using Engage's AI tools as a first step. Following those processes, we're able to successfully place people with employers through any profession. We work directly with employers. We have a number of Fortune 500 relationships. I'll just mention a couple of names from companies that are good enough to allow us to do that. Walmart, Ford, General Motors, AT&T.
Wow, that's
So that's HonorVet technology.
That's great. I think the other two questions, I think you've answered. The second question was, what companies do you work with? I think we've got that answer pretty loud and clear. And what skills do you look for? You mentioned leadership roles, Tony, and board level positions. Are there any particular type of skill sets, I should say, that you're looking for when you're looking to place some of these talented military veterans into the civilian workforce?
Sure. It's an ability to want to fit in. As we showed in the studies, it would be disingenuous for when we have detailed conversations with these candidates to think that they're automatically going to fit in. The odds are they will have a little difficulty at the beginning. But in having a dialogue, a two-way conversation where we're talking as people, not as a recruiter asking recruiter 101 type of questions, not asking yes/no questions. If you've got somebody not only in what they say, but how they say it, when you feel the passion, the determination to make it work, that really is key. And that's something that you can't simply get as on a resume. A resume, a LinkedIn profile, being on a job board, it tells you a story, but it doesn't tell you the whole story. That the quality of that conversation, including the assuredness in the voice, the control, the willingness to admit areas to improve, to do better, that without fail, when someone has all those things, they have done very well. And our end clients, not only the ones I mentioned, but dozens of others, they're not just satisfied, they're delighted making those hires.
That's great. I think the last question is targeted to me, and the question is what do you mean by outbound recruiting? Good question. I think I'll start with simply describing the process you guys already understand really well, which is the old process of sending a resume, across the fence and hoping for an answer. Often we get no answers and we're lost and never sort of aware of what's going on behind the scenes. What we believe are not only our platform, but the industry is heading towards is the ability to really target, to identify individuals that have the appropriate skill set or the right value fit to our companies that we want to go after. So instead of them coming to us, we want to go after them. And so for us, outbound recruiting simply means the ability to target and then to use the platform to quickly contact these individuals, either via email or via a phone call or a voicemail. But more importantly, doing it in a way that's contextual and relatable to the individual that we're targeting. No more general or generic messages that are sort of spray and pray, very much targeted and personalized for the individual. And that's some of the capabilities and features that our platform is able to do, is to look at characteristics and attributes of the individuals and then be able to say, okay, this person is in his or her mid-40s, the military experience, leadership experience, operational experience, and with that, I can craft and tailor the message. In fact, the system allows me to personalize that message and deliver it right into their inbox. So for us, outbound recruiting is a big component of what we do because it allows us to see much more significant increases in response rates and our ability to engage and talk to individuals that may be the right fit with these organizations.
And that's a great point, Robbie, and thank you for that. Yeah, outbound recruiting is not, inbound recruiting is sitting at your desk waiting for emails to come across your screen. When you do that as a quality recruiting firm or a senior talent acquisition executive within a corporation, you're missing out on the majority of potential candidates. If you're looking to hire someone, sometimes the trick with job boards is you get the best of the disaffected, the best of the disappointed, the best of the pissed off. There are candidates that are kind of okay where they are, or they're good where they are, but maybe not great, where you know you've got something to offer them. Using Engage's AI tools, you can go search for those high probability candidates that maybe aren't on job boards, but they're using any type of social media. They can be identified, and that automatically, just using simple logic, increases your potential talent pool of best fit candidates. And that goes with veterans, non-veterans as well.
Great. Tony, we have one more question. I think you're going to love this question, by the way. It's targeted to you. It says, what advice would you give to companies who are interested in helping veterans in their job search? Not necessarily just recruiting them, but sending them on interviews, but also giving them the tools they need to have a successful job search.
Excellent question. I do that as a regular part of my position. Some of it, and really it's almost no different than I would tell any other candidate who has not interviewed for a while or is new to the workforce. It's dress presentable, act presentable. When you're having a conversation with a hiring manager or a human resources person, speak to them as you did when you were in the force. You look at them face to face, speak to them as you would any other person of authority, and tell them who you are, not only in what you say, but again, similar to what I talked about when I screen candidates, in how you say it. Those simple concepts go a long way, and I found veterans really take to that very well. Any kind of detailed interview will discuss the veteran's background. It gives the candidate an opportunity to talk about they are more than somebody wearing camouflage. They are not that tired, worn, and inaccurate cliche, they only shoot guns. This is their opportunity to say what the military did for them and how what the military did makes them extremely valuable to the prospective employer. Those are simple but powerful concepts, and I'd say you could take that and provide that to any potential candidate who's recently out of the military, maybe he's been out for a while, looking for a good civilian job where they can make a career out of it. I couldn't add anything more than that.
That's great. Thank you, Tony. There are no more questions. So I guess with that, Tony, I'll hand it up to you to kind of wrap up.
Sure. Again, I feel very moved that you took the time, everyone in the audience, to participate with Robbie and me. In addition to the emails, I'm also going to give you my direct phone line. I take this seriously, and I'm trying to make up for the fact that Robbie's picture looks a heck of a lot better than mine. I've got that look that I just had a bad meal on the picture, but I'm going to give you the opportunity to speak directly if you wish, to help you out with questions that have been asked today, as well as other questions you may not have asked. Pen and pad, Tony Massia direct phone line, area code 973-552-4072. That's 973-552-4072. And for that, I thank you for your time. Robbie, I'll let you wrap up.
Great. Thank you, Tony. Well, you're giving away numbers. I will too. Why not? First of all, again, thank you for having me on this webinar. I really enjoyed my time. Hopefully everyone got some value out of it. I am in the Atlanta area. Look me up on LinkedIn. I'm fairly active there. My mobile phone as well is 404. That's 404-547-9999. 9177. If you have any questions about what we're trying to do in the area of AI-powered recruiting, technology, basically leveraging data, be happy to answer any of those questions either directly on my cell or on LinkedIn. With that, I think we're good to go. And it's a wrap.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Take care.